Hello, world. Welcome to Shindigs, a podcast dedicated to the ones who reach for the stars. This episode of Shindigs is sponsored by Unlimited Solutions. Unlimited Solutions, live life unlimited. Today I have a very important guest, a very special guest, good friend, old friend, Jesse. What's up, my man? Welcome.
What's up, brother? Very important. I appreciate that.
Very important indeed, man. Very important because you actually have a very strong, I would say, work in something I like a lot, and I want to say that you and I share a very passion to architect because I play The Sims. I grew up playing The Sims. Holy shit, I had every single one of them. I got a story for every single one of them too.
I definitely did that same exact thing when I was a kid.
When in the Windows XP, like the old one, right? Because
Yeah,
they got too gnarly when they
probably
got to
XP.
PlayStation. Once they got to PlayStation, I quit buying them.
Yeah, I tried it on the PlayStation actually, and I was like, it's just not the
So
same.
PC Sims.
I couldn't cheat. I couldn't use Rosebud anymore.
That's the one. Okay, you see?
Yeah, bro. I played some Sims, and I
Okay.
joke around all the time that that's pretty much all I do at work, which is far from true, but it kind of feels like it sometimes because I'm, modeling houses in 3D.
Oh no, well that's what I mean. I look at those Model 3Ds that you have on Instagram and I see some, relative work around around town. But it reminds me, I'm like, dude, just let's go back and look at one of the towns that I had in The Sims. I had my lower income section that kind of went up to the high hills, and when you got to the high hills,
This
oh
man's SimCity and Sims all in
oh, I
one.
had the pets, and when you had the pets, that was another that's a big challenge.
Dude, the pets, yeah, and having a wife.
Well, the wife, yeah. Ooh, I had multiple ones. I had a guy that had different houses, and he would go take care of this house with this many kids. Oh, dude, oh
Damn,
man,
playing the block.
I was a sim guy, and actually shout out to my friend Garrett James. I know you're listening to this. Him and I would neck to neck fight over who got the computer first. You got an hour, I got an hour. I'll do 30 minutes if you do this.
Yeah,
But yeah,
man.
no, that was my architect.
Your introduction to
Yeah.
the beauty of design.
Well, if you want to take it a little bit further back, I'm sure you did this as well, building little stick houses and little stuff houses in the yard.
Yeah, actually, um, my backyard uh, is up to a big, like, preserved forest area. And we built a ton of forts, like, ever since I can remember from second grade to like 10th grade, we were building
Treehouse,
forts.
clubhouse type thing.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we had forts that were, easy palm fronds against like a tree that had been knocked over in a hurricane or something. And, moved on from there. We had second floors. We would find, some trees that kind of made a square and kind of build off that. Start, roof, floors, get yourself off the ground.
When did your parents allow you to use power tools or what, electric tools? I don't know.
My dad was actually always kind of like pushing me to use tools whenever I wanted.
Okay.
Of course, he would,
Saws?
yeah, whatever. I mean, he would show me how to use it and be like, "Be careful," and yell if you hurt yourself. Try not to do that though.
Did your dad? It's got some carpentry.
Yeah, my dad's pretty much done everything. He's built a house before. He
Okay.
used to work construction. His dad installed ACs actually in the World Trade Center. Yeah, so my dad's
Okay.
he's a
Wow.
guy.
So you would say he was one of your main influence to what you're doing right now in your career?
Definitely pushed me when I was younger, and I would say kind of you know brought me along a path that allowed me to experiment, be creative, and all that good stuff. Draw. He was just always kind of pushing me to like make models and just build stuff and question things and all that good stuff.
What was your dad's career?
Um, my dad actually, so he's done construction. He joined the army after high school, and from there he had a couple jobs. I think he did something with like sound systems um, in Daytona, like for big concerts and stuff like
Okay.
that.
No, you were
Um,
dating back in the 80s?
yeah,
That's
80s. Yep.
wow, that's
th-
pretty killer.
Yeah, I forget when exactly he got out of the army, but um, army, couple odd jobs, and then he met my mom. And when I was born, he was a volunteer firefighter, and ended up doing meter reading because the hours were kind of crappy
Yeah.
for firefighters. So he was a meter reader, and then code enforcement. And then when I was in about second grade, he always wanted to be a firefighter, and finally, like, some jobs opened up, and he became a firefighter when I was in second grade. He's still working today. And my mom's been a teacher her whole entire life. She started at South Daytona Elementary when she was 22 or 23 years old, fresh out of college, and worked there for 34 years, something like that, 33 or 34 years.
Damn.
She's now retired at the young age of 56. I think she retired 2 years ago.
Oh, 56 is the new
Yeah,
36.
she was like 54. Yeah, yeah.
No, Jesse, I want to say two things. Actually, a few things. Um, Thank you for, I want to thank your dad for his service for the military.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not just that, but then becoming a firefighter. Thank him for the service on that. And this is the one that doesn't get thanked the most is the teachers. And we need to thank every single teacher for every hour and
Absolutely.
every service and every day that they put in there.
Definitely. So many teachers go above and beyond like what they get paid for, and it, it's because they really do care about these kids, and you know,
But why some of these kids? I remember myself. Oh, Jesse, I was bad.
I mean, that's just part of growing up. Some kids,
But what
are.
did what did these teachers find his passion? Because it's the income. I mean, that's another story. But
It's a good question. I don't know. My mom tells me all the time because she tells me the same story like at least once a week. How she would play teacher when she was like, s- ever since she can remember, she just always wanted to be a teacher. My grandpa was a teacher,
okay.
so
Yeah, some people have the passion, some don't. Some are there for a paycheck, some are there for.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, teaching, I don't know.
That's a big job.
Yeah, it's like
A huge
who's
job.
there for a paycheck, you know? Like
God.
even in, the states that pay a little bit better than in Florida, it's a rough job. You definitely have to want to teach kids and, you know, proliferate knowledge, and
Exactly. Well, I mean, that is our future. That is our future.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of it definitely comes down to, what goes on in the classroom. I have a ton of teachers that have definitely influenced me
Still
a
talk
lot.
to a few teachers.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
do too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Even though they didn't like me, they're like, I didn't like you, but man, now I do. You're a good
yeah.
kid.
Because you grew up,
Yeah.
you finally listened to what they
Exactly.
might have been saying to you.
You know what? And that's what it is those messages, what they were saying is finally clicking in after, maybe let's say on a 25th year situation. Oh man, remember what she said? God, man, she's right.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
talking about 7 years later.
Yeah, it
But
takes everybody a little bit, their own time to figure everything out.
I'm slow motion, dude. I'm literally, I don't know if something is like, I'm not saying wrong, but if something's right, but I'm always seem to be a step behind, which is sometimes a good thing because I don't get burnt or I maybe lose, always a
That's
step
probably
behind.
just your perspective, man. It's
It
probably
is.
just your perspective. You know,
It really is. It really is. I'm a step
I
back.
feel that same way. So
Different actions, different steps. But so going back to, you building all these sports and stuff, that right there obviously led to a nice career of, well, that's not what you wanted to do at that time.
no, actually, so like throughout high school, I was a decent athlete, and
You did track.
yeah, I ran track, and I was thinking about going for college, but all of my friends that ended up actually going to college to run knew that I would have hated it because I don't know. Especially in high school, I was just about the easy way of doing everything. Just kind of go with the flow. Didn't really have like too many deep thoughts on. I mean, like, I was always kind of figuring things out at a pretty young age, but like when it came to like hard work, I was kind of lazy in high
I
school.
worked with you in Barracudas, and man, you were a hard worker, but I'm sure that was after high school or that was during high school.
Yeah. I mean, like, I
You
wasn't.
showed up in time, and that's all it takes. That's the hardest part.
I think I was just more so focused on doing what I thought I wanted to do the easiest way possible. You know, or like when it came to homework, like I would do homework that I was interested in, like learning from and stuff like that. But if it was something stupid that I didn't feel like doing because I already knew how to do it or whatever, then I wouldn't do it. Like that kind of lazy.
Would you put
And-
work smarter, not harder, or is that?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
If I'm being nice about it. But and when it came to track, I loved track. One, because I was good at it, and two, because it's awesome running. Running can definitely get you to like a really awesome mindset. It's kind of like the best form of meditation.
I grew up with asthma,
in
and
my
running
opinion.
was what helped my asthma. Running and swimming was what helped my asthma.
Really?
Get rid of it, yeah.
Wow. I guess that kind of makes sense.
For some reason, and to this day, I'll still use my inhaler here and there whenever the pollen's thick.
Yeah, yeah.
But whenever I run the bridges, because that's pretty much the only little thing I do around here is I run both bridges. The level of that I can breathe, because usually it'll take me a couple yawns to get a nice breath. But when I'm running, which you think it'd be the opposite, especially in the heat, my breathing is just so on point. Same thing when I'm swimming, when I'm paddling. I think what it is an inhaler is steroids for your lungs. So, it gets you going. So when you're running and swimming, that's natural steroids for your lungs. So I believe when I'm doing that
Yeah.
action, it's like my asthma is not, it's not there.
There was actually it doesn't have to do with asthma, but there was a long distance runner, and I'm pulling this out of the ether here. I can't remember a name or anything, but I remember that he was healthier, something to do with his heartbeat, his heart rate. It was healthier for him to be running because since he practiced endurance so much, his natural heartbeat was like in the like mid 30s or something like that, something crazy low. And it was actually better for him to continue running and exercising because his heart rate had gotten so low when it was resting. Yeah. I got to look that up.
Well, I mean, I know the heart is a very important, important thing of working out, because there's a lot of athletes that are physically healthy, but their heart is not there, and that's like the curse. That some
Yeah.
people are at home with a great heart,
And then
lethargic in the in the PlayStation, and then there's this guy who wants to do a lot more, but he can't because his heart limits him too.
yeah, there's been crazy incidences where
I know with
people have just like collapsed on the court or like on the track or something like that because they had a heart attack. It was like they're I
bodybuilders.
don't know exactly. Yeah,
Bodybuilders as well.
something to do with the
Well,
heart being overworked. As a
Yeah,
muscle.
yeah. You got a weak heart. You're taking them. You're beating them up every day. You're not really helping him. If anything, he's pushing against
Yeah.
all this the whole
It's,
time.
it's
and,
weird how it works.
So it's an excess. It's an excess as well, because they're going back to being healthy and not smoking, not drinking, and then a lot of people collapses.
Just yeah,
But
it's crazy.
but no. So again, working at Barracudas, was that one of your first jobs, or am I speaking too much here?
No, not my first job. It was actually the first job I served. I
Yeah,
learned
you
how to
did. You ended
serve
up serving.
at Barracudas.
You ended up serving.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate it. And Jimmy.
Oh yeah, hey Jimmy, great things. Have you been to his CrossFit stuff
No,
that he's got?
I haven't. No.
He actually has the Barracuda sign in the CrossFit, in his CrossFit building.
Really?
Yeah, I mean I haven't been there, but as the pictures, it's beautiful. I need to go. I
Die
need to
hard
go.
Barracudas.
Oh yeah, oh man, I had
That's
a
a good
passion
job.
for that place. You know that place opened on my birthday, May 30th.
Really?
It was 2013,
Yeah.
and it opened
yeah.
on my birthday.
Wow.
And yeah, you were there. You
I
were
was
there,
there.
yeah. You were one of the first ones, and you ended up serving there.
Thanks, Haley, for the hire.
Haley, I love Haley. I miss Haley.
Yeah, I haven't seen her for a while.
But
But I think what I was talking about um, originally was how architecture kind of, like I was doing track and stuff like that, and I was, I guess, lazy. Like I just did it to do it. My friends told me you wouldn't like college because you got to wake up at 4 and you got a bunch of stuff to do and you're required to do it. You can't just do what you want to do. And I was like, yeah, no. So I was like, all right, well, I fancy myself a smart kid, know it all, So what am I gonna do? And it took a while to figure out, but went through community college and a lot of partying and stuff like that. Started drinking for the first time when I was 18 years old, like a week before school started, college. So that was a good time. But like 2 years passed, and I was reading a book by Buckminster Fuller called A Critical Path, and a lot about a lot what was in that book was very motivating to me, especially at that time. It just kind of runs through history, how humanity developed, and Bucky's ideal kind of form of humanity and how we could get there with architecture and engineering and shaping culture in a way. And I was very motivated by that book, and kind of refined it down to, okay, I really like the idea of being able to create a space that affects people's, mood subconsciously, consciously, you know, you create this little piece of art, through the use of light and material and scale and all of these tools that can really have an effect on people. And if I can steer that towards something positive, then I think that's really what I want to do. And I was like, it seems like at first it was like, oh, urban planning. But then I learned what that was.
what's urban planning?
Well, I mean, urban planning is really just like, deciding what land is going to be zoned as. And
Okay.
I mean, you can get into like master layouts for big cities and stuff like that, but all of that's a long process, and you don't just like jump into something
Okay.
like that.
Right on.
So I was like, all right, well, I like this idea of making space, and even if it's at a smaller scale, the architectural scale, then like that's what I want to do. So decided to, while I was at Barracudas, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do architecture school. I think it was like right before like I got the job at Barracudas. I was like, I think I'm gonna go to architecture school like the next spring or whatever, and worked at Barracudas in Amore, and then hightailed it. I think I worked there for like 6 months, 8 months, or something like that.
You
And
worked there
then-
for a long time.
yeah, maybe even a year, dude.
And yeah, cause you started with me, and I was working at the bistro. I never stopped working there. It's
Okay,
just
yeah.
they stopped for opening for lunch, so I was doing my daytime in Barracudas, and then I would do
Right,
nighttime
right,
at the
right,
bistro.
yeah, yeah.
But I remember when you go collab with Amore, cause they were the same.
Yeah.
And that was actually funny, watching some guys with Barracuda shirts there. They were bringing food from there to there. It was
It's always like that,
we live in a neighborhood. I remember we used to share, just go instead of paying for food with
Yeah.
with cash, you just trade food. Hey, give me some Clancy's, I'll give you some bistro, give me
Yeah.
some Verde.
Amore to
Yeah.
Clancy's to Verde to Barracudas and back.
So, you made your decision to go to architect school now that you know where? Talking through friends or?
Yeah, so my best friend Jake was living in Orlando, and I did not have the grades at that time to get into UF's architecture program. So um, he was visiting from Orlando and was like, dude, if you want to do architecture, check out UCF's program. And I looked into it, and it was like this 2+2+2 program, 2 years at Valencia, 2 years UCF, 2 years UF. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's ride. Like, what else am I going to do? You know, like, this is what I want to do. I just got to go grab it.
Nice.
And also a lot of, like, pressure that I put on myself, you know, just, I got to get out of here. I got to go do something. And, you know, my parents are, like, looking at me like, what are you doing? You're back, you know? So I was just like, all right, let's do it. My buddy Jake was living in this awesome little house. It was like 5 bedrooms. We paid like $250 a month for rent.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had the whole entire garage that had been made into a room. So I had like my whole entire architecture studio in there. It was sick. And he hooked me up with a job at a restaurant too, right when I got there. So I was
Grateful
just-
for the Barracuda experience that
Exactly.
because the Southern hospitality that we learn over here, I know is no, it goes a long ways because I've been to places, restaurants all over, and we got a really good service from here in New Smyrna.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
feel like that helped a lot in Orlando too,
Yeah,
because Orlando is a big.
I learned everything here.
Mm-hmm.
That Southern hospitality, Italian hospitality. Vincenzo, I'm looking at you.
That's amore. And was that your first experience at college, dorm and everything?
Nope, never stayed in a dorm ever, actually. Always just stayed off campus in one apartment and then found some houses somehow and always stayed in houses and stuff like that. So I never got the dorm experience. I mean, I stayed at my buddies' dorms every once in a while, but it's not
Yeah, no.
it's an experience that I experienced enough the 4 times that I did. So
I feel like the off-campus living is like the G thing to do. I feel like once you stay at dorms, you're like kind of clueless. You're going there, you're like, I don't even know. Guys, am I right?
yeah, I guess like, you know, you're a freshman, you gotta try out the dorms and then get the hell off campus. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a good way to meet people and all that stuff, you know. So you're all there trying to smoke in your closet.
Yeah. Lawn parties. All I have that is like the.
I went to one party.
Yeah. We smoked a lot. Not a lot of parties in the dorm, but definitely smoked it out a few times.
No, I went to one of the parties, and it was shout outs to Sam Walton. It was in Tallahassee, and holy shit, I went as far as GED type stuff, and never really school. I went to school, just same thing for parties, but that was an experience. What seeing kids living adult lifestyles, living on their own, having that.
It's entertaining, isn't it?
Because I mean, I was doing the same thing.
I guess you can call it an adult lifestyle.
Well, I mean, adult lifestyles
Trying.
and points. Who's paying the bills? How are you gonna pay those bills? Some
Yeah.
some of them are sponsored type thing, but still, it was
Yeah.
it was shocking to me. Like I guess to the fact of leaving the nest. I'm one who was very comfortable to being at home, and that was the first experience. Man, people are just dying to get out of their house. Man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
And
ready to leave.
They'll live off $20 a week to do it. Yeah.
Did you live
It's
off
rough.
$20 a week living when
I
you were
may
out?
have a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
Yeah, we all have.
Yeah, for sure, dude. For
So
sure.
going through the school, what was one of the toughest transportation? What was probably one of its toughest obstacles?
Individually, one of the harder things that I really struggled with was just kind of having a consistent schedule and being consistently on top of things. You know, I'd be good for a semester or 2 semesters and then just like, get worn out while I'm sleeping like an average of 3 hours a night. So
Well, it's tough.
but they're all excuses.
Going to school, I mean, and then having to put a job and then study. There's some nights that
Yeah.
you're running on 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, dude, like 3 days of no sleep. Yeah, it was rough, and architecture school is no joke. Like, um, uh, you're essentially, making a piece of artwork that is definitely not going to be finished in time ever, because there's so much that goes into architecture that, especially in school, you can really try and like delve into and go overboard and research a bunch of different stuff and really get into it. But it's like this piece of artwork that you're working on until a deadline. So all of your time, this is a little piece of you. This is an artistic expression. And you want to work up until that deadline, because you want it to be perfect. And kind of like realizing how to balance, what I intended for it to be or what I envisioned it to be, and like how practical it was to like get to that point, like how sophisticated the model was or how detailed and the model was or the drawings were or how intricate the research was or whatever it may be. Just being able to balance that and realize like, okay, I gotta cut back here, and just make sure that I get this done by this time, because it's gonna take me a long time to do this, and I gotta go to work at 9 p.m. and get off at 4 a.m. So it was all pretty rough, but learning how to organize myself and balance everything, and not find outlets to kind of slip into, like, smoking and ladies and, going out and whatever.
Just even resting.
Yeah, even getting some sleep. I can confidently say that I never overslept in college, ever. Not once.
So what would you say are your like number one influences on this art? Was it the school that you're getting, or it's just, let's say, you some magazines? Like, what brought that design and art style? Like,
Everything.
okay.
Literally anything and everything. Just looking at anything and seeing how it works kind of gives you an idea of, literally anything can be inspiration.
The architecture of life, almost.
Yeah, I mean, everything is designed. Everything at this desk, this table was designed, like everything.
Shout out to
Clothes.
Max and his wife Rose. They did a beautiful job on the placement of everything today.
Loving the vibes in here. Loving the vibes, for sure.
That's actually a painting by Maxer's dad right there.
Venezuelan folkloric.
Venezuelan.
Yeah.
And that right there, I'm very familiar with a few of those guys over there. It's Tio Pedro right there. Tio Pedro in the Congo. But no,
I think I know that guy too.
yeah, no, I think that the guy in the back was working at Barracudas. We had a lot of people that worked there. It was a great place, man. It was a great vibe. I'm very I'm sad that it went down. But
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
But
It's
so
unfortunate.
when you were going through school, when did you have the connection with Kevin Schweitzer?
Well, Autumn, his daughter, and I had been friends in high school, and kept in touch throughout college and stuff like that. And it was a crazy coincidence. I mean, I was in Orlando, and she was like visiting her sister in Sanford, and it's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Told her I was in architecture school and all that stuff, and I knew Kevin was an architect.
Oh yeah.
But like I wasn't like, like, oh, what's up, because I'm like in my first year of architecture school.
yeah.
I don't know shit. I hardly knew shit after architecture school ended. It was like, you learn how to manage your time, that's for sure, and there's a creative outlet there, but as far as like preparation for the real world, nada. Especially in a work environment like KSA. Just a lot going on. We're involved in everything. But Autumn was like, "Oh yeah, you're in architecture school. You should talk to my dad." And like a year later, I came to New Smyrna, and the one of the houses on the beach was just getting finished up, and they were having like a housewarming party for that. And I went and met with Kev and like actually spoke to him about architecture for the
Yeah.
first time, and
How
got
was that
to
feeling? That was a vibe.
yeah, it was like I was very nervous because I wanted to like come off like this smart kid who knows a lot about architecture, but you know,
You definitely wanted to show him that you
course,
were
I was just a kid.
eligible to work for him. Well,
yeah, exactly.
you're
like,
worthy.
hey, what's up? Exactly.
I'm worthy.
I'm ready to be hired right now. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. Just walking through a space that Kevin designed and seeing his mind work.
Oh,
for
I'm
the
in love
first
with
time.
Kevin's designs.
Yeah, I mean, he's on another level for sure. Like every single day, I'll come in and be like, how do you not only come up with that, but model it, so quickly? It's like, I know you don't sleep, but it's just unbelievable. He's very, very talented.
Well, it's definitely one of those things because I know many people who invested and spent millions and millions of dollars on a home, and when you do something like that, there's not the best feeling in the world to come into a Kevin design home. Like I don't think your vision of pulling up to the driveway and seeing your home, it's ever gonna be like, okay, I made it to the door. I didn't even notice what I came.
Yeah.
Like every single step, it's like wow.
We try to explain to clients who are kind of like on the fence about using an architect for their house that it's really a lifestyle that you're getting out of
Yes.
an architecturally designed home. In most cases,
It is. It is.
It's a space that is catering to your needs better than any spec home would.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it can accommodate many people generally, but it's nice to be able to have like a little personal touch
Mm-hmm.
in your own house that you got to be a part of the design process with, and you got to kind of imagine and then let Kevin
Yeah.
in most cases develop that idea that you had into
Thought,
something like that's really architecturally
This is something I wanted to
Unbelievable.
bring up because it's I work for Kevin. Like somebody, he's so proud of his design that he is allowing not allowing, but having his family live in those homes. That his like pretty much the security of these homes. Like I'm building this for my family. It better be rock solid. So I know he brings that in because his family lives in his designs. That's
definitely that's with an architect's number one job is life safety. That comes before design, really, legally.
mm-hmm.
But
So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a doctor. Like you sign an oath, you gotta save this people's life. When you're an architect, you're building somebody's home.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out,
or a building, a hospital, anything, a tower,
you gotta
whatever.
take full responsibility.
Yep.
Full.
Yep, you have to. Life safety is obviously extremely important when it comes to building. But Kevin definitely has a burning passion for design, architecture, the spirit that is created when all of these things come together, and you put a family in it. It's really magical. And
It is.
in a way that a lot of people know but don't. Subconsciously, it's just like it would be very useful if everyone walked through the gates into New Smyrna that were designed by Kevin. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Just so they could like experience like a some sort of space that Kevin's created,
Mm-hmm.
and they can kind of like feel that feeling. So then they're like, okay, yeah,
Well,
we want to use an architect.
you want to get a nice warm feeling like that. Head down to Canal Street.
Yeah.
Where's your guys' office located?
It's on Canal Street, 145, right
145.
between Yellow Dog and the brewery.
Okay.
Yeah,
I gotta go sneak in there.
yeah.
What's the vibe of the office? Is it
It's awesome.
cubicles? Or okay.
Well, actually, Niels is finishing up on our new office. I guess Kevin's owned that building for a while, and it used to be fitted for an architectural office, but then he started renting the spaces out and stuff like that. So there's offices. Everything has glass partitions, pretty much. So it's kind of all, you have a transparency through the whole entire building. It's kind of narrow, so it's nice. And the environment's great because we have a real estate company in there and 2 contractors.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and a couple other
A one-stop
people.
shop.
We have a chiropractor and somebody who cuts hair. So, that's all you need.
man. Rough day.
And
Get
then you're
your
in
back
between
cracked.
the brewery and Yellow Dog. So it's just everything that you need right there.
Hey, does New Smyrna set a real tough environment for let's say building one of those abstract homes that Kevin's known for building, like with the high roofs, with the thick areas, with the beautiful, chandelier inside? Does the weather here, like with the hurricanes and our sand bottom, what kind of difficulties does that create for you guys?
Quite a few. But that's part of architecture.
Okay.
There's parameters to everything. You have your materials, physics, and the owner, the cost, and all of the rules that the county or the city set for the building standards. So yeah, I mean, of course, can't build something too big. It's gonna obstruct views. If you're on crappy land, then you got to put some pilings in or piers in, or you got to make sure that there's a ton to it. Environmental standards, you have to make sure that you're not just throwing all your construction debris everywhere, and it's all contained and disposed of properly and all that stuff. So yeah, there's definitely rules, and there should be. And we even just went through something that was a little tricky with the county. But when you take a step back, like, you understand where everybody's coming from. It is to kind of maintain just a progressive, environmentally conscious path towards the future. So it's never been, I mean, I think, like, if you ask Kev, he'll say that this one time the city shot down him being able to put up this wind turbine.
Oh man.
But I think, like, other than that, it's just, it's nothing that's gonna, like, stop us from building.
I don't know if this was it the house right on North Beach?
For the wind turbine, that was supposed, the one right on.
Because I heard about that house that it has a fan that it pretty
Beacon?
much. Yes.
Yeah.
Then it generates a power for the whole house through that little.
There was supposed to be one on this really nice lot, like North Beach. But I don't know what happened to that project. That was like years ago. And then the one on Beacon, the yellow one, it's called Higher Ground. It says on the gate. That one was supposed to have a wind turbine. Maybe it did at one point, but it's no longer there. And it might be for the same reason that the city shot down the other one.
FPL wants their cut. They don't want you to be generating your own.
Yeah, or it might fly off in a hurricane and bust through somebody's window.
That too.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
You just might
Yeah.
generate more
That.
power.
Probably
That-
a little bit of both, but I
Yeah.
think they were thinking more along the lines of it flying off and killing
No,
somebody.
that was the one right there.
Yeah.
Hey, so when you go to all these places like Italy, Greece, and Egypt, do you see any of this code enforcement being applied there in some of the cities with the oldest architect in the world?
So, uh, really, no. I even know an architect who works in Florence that is like, you guys have way too many regulations.
Oh my God.
Um,
Safety though, right?
yeah, I mean, like, as long as these regulations were passed democratically and, you know, seem to make logical sense, even if I don't completely agree with it, probably fine with it. You know, if I really disagree with it, then I'll do what I got to do to try and change something like that. But I mean, the regulations, they are what they are. And for the most part, they're all just kind of environmentally conscious, which is good. So I'm cool with it. And when it comes to life safety, it's obviously important. It's a little bit easier to, well, I don't know this for certain legally, but I would imagine that kind of having clearly defined guidelines for life safety would make it a little bit easier to stay out of trouble, you know. But in other countries, if the government isn't, you know, organized enough
I'm
in
from
a
one.
certain city or
I'm from one myself.
yeah,
They got pieces of wood holding long piece of tin
yeah,
that you can slice somebody's head off. Hey, they'll tell you, hey, don't walk by there. If that falls,
and
the last time you walk with your head.
it's interesting because some of the smaller, like, you know, areas in South America, for instance, one of the contractors that works in our office, him and his father actually, and Kevin, go to Peru to do mission trips, and they've been building this church, I think, for a while, and they've gotten to see all the different construction methods.
I have heard about that. I was actually Andrew Gentry was one of the
Yeah.
contractors that went down there, and
Gentry.
I know
Yeah.
him.
He's a good guy.
He's a contractor for a good friend of mine, and yeah, and his son is a rad skater. Rad
Word.
skater.
Word. I didn't know
Talking
about.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about doing airs off the 12-foot bowl.
Nice.
Yeah,
Young kid.
12 years old.
Sweet. Sweet.
Aiden's buddy.
Sweet. Reminds me of my buddy Jordan Price. I don't know if you're out there, buddy, but
Jordan. Oh yeah,
hope you're doing all right.
man. I actually just seen something of him not too long ago. He was the one who used to ride for Nixon and all that, right?
Yeah, I think Nixon, Fox.
Yeah, he had a gnarly vert ramp in his.
Yeah, dude, that was the first half pipe I ever dropped in.
Okay,
on.
yeah, we're talking about the same.
That was rough.
Yeah, shout outs,
It's
man.
crazy.
Hope you're
Yeah.
still ripping. Can't
Yeah,
wait to
man.
see you on the
Yeah.
on the big screen too.
Yeah, shout out from Leone Pepperoni.
That's one of your
Yeah,
names.
that was, Jordan.
So you grew up here. You grew up here, right?
Yeah, Port Orange.
Port Orange.
Yeah,
Born and raised.
born and raised.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
My whole life, and honestly couldn't think of anywhere else I would rather live, at least in Florida, you know. It's just, I love this place.
Did you ever stay somewhere where like you know, like I said, going, you know, when you went to Europe in a place that was like absolutely magical, like you know, build, or were you like, man, is this place, you know, is this gonna fall through the night, or
Nope, I never stayed anywhere, but throughout Egypt there's some shoddy looking buildings,
mm-hmm.
but we
It's
never
like
had
this
to-
shit on TVs is sand everywhere.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty. I mean, I don't know what they show on TV, but it's a lot of sand. Actually, when we were driving back to the airport, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Everyone's up still. Like they're going to McDonald's. Like everyone's walking across the street.
It's not a
Everyone's-
Saturday.
Nope, it's like a Tuesday, you know, like everyone is up still. Hookah, coffee, whatever. Everyone's up, and I'm just like looking out the window, looking at everything, and I look down at the road, and it's all sand. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, when did we go on a sand road? And I'm like looking forward, and it was just the road was completely covered in sand. But this is like, you know, a main road, a highway road.
Wow.
And it's completely covered in sand. I was like, holy crap. Yeah. So
Damn.
there's definitely those moments where you're like, this is not the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Did you take a lot of appreciation to their style of of living and bring them back to? Because
yeah,
I know Schweitzer Designs. He builds huge homes, small, even smaller homes. But all the homes, I don't care how big they are, they have a family feeling. Like if you go in a room, because I've been to a lot of houses that are, I actually dog sitted in a 3-story home that I was so scared. I had access through the whole house, and I stayed in the one spot that the dog was allowed to stay, just because I was frightened to go through the whole house. It just was the walls were so, they echoed from each other, and
really. So
oh
it's the
man.
architecture that
Oh,
was
it
making
freaked.
you
Oh
feel that
yeah,
way.
it freaked me out. It reminded me a lot of. I grew up in a Catholic environment, and very cathedral, high ceilings. You know,
Kind
that
of
yeah,
cold and
super cold.
yeah.
Oh, super cold. That's the one. That's the best thing I can describe a feeling when I go into a home, if it's cold or warm. And for some reason, I've been to Kevin's house, the one on the river, and that right there, you go into a home and you just feel like you're in family. Every room, you feel like, okay, where are the game boards?
Yeah. And even though he has,
Oh my God.
super high ceilings,
And let's talk about price. Those are one of the most beautiful, and beautifully priced homes out there.
yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure.
It is my absolute. But like I said,
But even with those high ceilings, it still feels warm because you drop certain spaces. You drop, the kitchen area. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So there is a.
So it's yeah. You play with scale and stuff like that, and
Okay.
you kind of there's techniques that have been developed throughout time. Frank Lloyd Wright was a huge influence on Kevin. His dad worked for Frank Lloyd Wright, was partners with.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in charge of the only house that Frank Lloyd Wright did in Florida, and was in charge of what's the university called? Florida Southern. Florida Southern. It was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, and Niels, Kevin's father, was in charge of that. So huge influence on Kevin, and Frank Lloyd Wright had different design techniques and stuff like that have obviously carried through. It's just all about kind of breaking space down into something that feels organic, and
Yes.
you find that really through nature and just observing nature, and because everything has been processing throughout time for so long, and certain things obviously work better than others, and especially at this point we can look at something and be like, oh yeah, this is smart design, so you try and use that as an influence to allow your spaces to grow and
And the level of growth from those designs never really stops too. You always try to better that in itself.
always, yeah.
So
And
you see something perfect, and you're like, oh wait, but maybe if you do this,
exactly,
growth
exactly.
never stops. It's insane.
An infinite amount of ways that you can, rearrange some stuff, and yeah.
No,
Yeah,
and that,
yeah.
that's something really beautiful, especially like when you said, once you see something done, it's a piece of you. It's a piece of you that somebody's taken, pleasure of raising a home or raising a family, know.
And it's really special when it's a piece of, us,
It's a whole group, a whole collab.
I try and when I'm speaking to clients, I really am interested in exactly, what it is they envision. What about certain spaces makes them desirable to them, just to try and get an idea of like how much they've thought about it, and also how to, adjust it if need be, for different situations, and make it really feel like, I'm taking all of their ideas and they're coming up with them. I'm just kind of moving them around a little bit, and making them make sense, and
Kind of consultant, their idea.
yeah, just kind of like redlining it, editing.
Well, it's similar with you. When a lot of these people, they know, oh yeah, I already know what I want. I want this house because it's my budget. But sometimes, oh well, if you give your 2 cents, hey, this is in my second home, my third home. this is something I can maybe give your, you can give your advice on.
Yeah, exactly.
Draw a red line that they would appreciate that.
And when people come into it, they have opinions, and their opinions were formed off of other things that, up until that
He said,
moment,
she said, yeah.
that's what developed their opinion. So obviously, new knowledge and delivering that correctly can open their mind up to other possibilities. And when you mix that with, really making sure that you have integrity, you're looking out for your client, you're not trying to, get a buck out of them or anything like that. When you can do that and they feel that, that's when it's really special. And that's when, the whole process of them kind of giving you
Yes.
these blocks and you rearranging them and morphing them into something with maybe a curve or something.
Yeah.
That's what makes that whole entire process really something special, because you just create strong bonds, you create trust, and
Trust is a big
beautiful
word.
architecture.
Trust is a huge word because I
Yeah.
mean, other than I don't know many people, but when you buy a home, it's your first and only home, and probably your only home that you're gonna a lot of some, especially when you put in when you go into a design. So
Yeah.
it's very special that they're allowing somebody, also because of their experience first of all, but to be part of that dream.
Yeah,
That's-
it's definitely it's one of those things that words can't really describe. It's just
No.
really a special thing. Yeah.
And I really liked what you said about Kevin. Having once you come over the bridge, if you just have a design, that'd be right there.
Yeah, we just walk through the gates of Kevin into New Smyrna,
But it
and
really-
then everyone's like, "Oh,
because
I
he's
get it."
really a strong part to me. He's a strong part of our community.
Yeah,
The
I
Swags are a
agree.
huge part of our community.
Yeah.
And
very giving and just
that'll be a great.
considerate.
We need to honor our great minds like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the older that we get, like, I feel like the more respect that I really do.
What do
have
you
for
have
them.
in mind as when, like, let's say let's talk about it in the back of your sketch pad. What's on there? Do you have a stadium build? Like, where's this Jesse design going? Do you want to build homes? Do you want to build plazas?
Yeah, I would like to build, everything and anything that I can, or
Okay.
design and build. I think construction is just as important as design. Like, in my humble opinion, if you don't know or how you're gonna build something, you just know how to draw it, then you're kind of flirting with the definition of what an architect is.
Absolutely.
'Cause historically you're a master builder, that just thought about things uniquely, but you built things, like, you knew how to build them. You weren't just crumbling up a piece of paper and giving it to the interns and saying, "This is what I want." What up, Frank Gehry? I'm just kidding. Frank Gehry's great. But yeah, architecture and construction are one and the same. Like, you design and construction. But as far as like what's in the back of the sketchbook,
Yeah.
I've never told this to anyone, actually. I have I really like museums and libraries and stuff like that. Those are really cool spaces to me. And I have this idea for a museum / library that just kind of uses design and orientation and material and scale. I mean, all the tools of an architect to create this library and museum without having to have books or artifacts that you're going to see. So, like, the architecture tells the story, through the materials and the orientations and yeah,
Like it.
working on it.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. When I get some free time, I'm gonna think through it a little bit more. There's so much that like I'm just kind of like throwing things into. And
No,
it
I get the
definitely won't be
concept.
my thesis. But yeah, I think that would be really,
That's art. That's
really,
art.
really interesting. Yeah, it's kind of like more of an intervention, rather than like I mean, it's an occupiable, space that you can walk in and around and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like a museum library that doesn't have any books or artifacts. It's just the building tells the story.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. And it's. I wouldn't say it's new, but it's something that
Well, it's kind of based off the idea of, the symbolism and meaning that went into a lot of, that still goes into a lot of architecture. Definitely, definitely. But it's maybe more apparent, or it was more important to just kind of, I don't know, form things that really it's what drove the progression of architecture.
okay.
How
The next
to
level.
yeah, how to come up with rules, like why are columns the way that they are, why do they do all these things, like what's up with a plinth, like all of these things have symbolic meaning and structural meaning, and it's just layers of information, you know and obviously architecture still does that. Like you have the pyramids at the Louvre that are very symbolic and interesting, and yeah, everything. I mean,
I witnessed them. I've seen those.
Yeah,
At the bottom of it's a mall.
yeah. I've never been.
Yeah.
Might not go to Paris anytime soon after the
and-
story you told me.
No. Oh, believe me, go. Believe me. Like I said, the only thing it was just if I wouldn't have gone. I said if it was Paris, the only place I would have gone to in France, I would have thought the worst about it. It was going to Lyon that made me realize that France is a beautiful,
Well,
beautiful country.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, Lyon, France. That's right next to the border of Geneva, Switzerland.
Oh,
Went there
word.
too. Yeah, it's a
Word.
little train thing. But no, in yeah, the only thing
that's
that it was because in Paris, the Eiffel Tower, I look Moroccan, and Moroccan is like I guess the gypsy there. That's they don't have jobs. They migrate from Morocco.
You don't look too Moroccan, bro.
Bro, I got everywhere I went, they would pull me off to the side. Hey, can I check your passport? Let me see your ID. Once I pulled out a blue passport, they're like, okay, you're fine. But then I asked my brother, I'm like, hey,
This was in France?
this was in Paris, yeah. And I asked my brother, I'm like, hey, what's going on with this? And he's like, they think you're Moroccan, and Moroccans here, what it is, they're 13-year-olds, gypsies, 12-year-olds, 9-year-olds, who their parents and their religion tells them that it's okay to steal, it's okay to go pickpocket. So you literally have a 9-year-old going in your pocket. I mean, how do you twist his hand and try to give him some repermission when
You just give him those eyes.
and it's not just that, like you see it, all the women have their purses in the front, they tell you right there, and where the Eiffel Tower is one of the most pickpocket places like in the world. And I
Doesn't
witnessed it
surprise me.
happen to my sister-in-law while I was there, but but they said I had, believe me, no hard feelings to the French or whatever for thinking that, but yeah, no, I met some Moroccan people, and like you said, yeah, I don't look Moroccan. I don't, but yeah, everywhere I went, I was the one that was getting pulled out, because everywhere we went was
Interesting.
a line, from the Louvre to the to the churches.
You
and
know,
all
it'd
that.
be a sick little intervention. Using the catacombs as some sort of like I don't know, somewhere to party.
Oh my
like
God.
they have parties in the catacombs, but like
Max, you know what the
actually-
catacombs are?
I've heard about it.
They're tunnels
Yeah, they're like tunnels stacked with
with
bunch
bodies,
of dead bodies, like
and it's all
skeletons
bodies
and stuff like that.
Because back in the day, they were just buried. They were just digging
Under the
holes,
city.
and then hey, there's so
Yeah.
many dead.
They
What-
did.
was
it's
it
pretty
because of
common.
the plague that did that?
Yeah, for sure.
Plague, yeah.
Yeah. I think they used it after that, before that even maybe. Dang.
It's at a party over there.
Yeah, like an intervention
Ooh.
into the
Oh my
catacombs,
God,
kind
I'm-
of like a, like something
cool.
that, I don't know,
That's a cold party, man.
that celebrates
No, I even seen the sizes and the skulls, and you see the kids' skulls with the bullet.
Oh
'Cause you see
wow,
the
yeah,
bullet still in it, because the skull is just the skull itself with you see the holes through it full on,
yeah,
a bunch of them.
that's pretty crazy.
And it was pretty good story that I everywhere we went took pictures of all this, because I'd have no I don't think I'm going back anytime soon, financially, but it's a place that I'm glad I went, but I wish I would have gone at this age instead of going when I was 15.
Word, yeah,
And I didn't take the full appreciation of the art and the
Yeah.
architecture, man. Like, I swear, the churches everywhere I went was just out of this world. But I was just worried on that bar right there on the ledge that had wax, and I'm like, oh, so there's people skating here. Oh, man, that's a little punk. Little punk. Yeah.
Naturally, yeah.
But no, man, I really
Check out Makba.
I really appreciate you doing this, dude. I really want to know, before this is over, what are some of the big plans that you have going on? What's some stuff you got going on for the winter, for the summer?
So, essentially at a point where I feel very comfortable going back, getting my master's. I have to get my master's to be able to
Wow, it's that
sit
you're at
for a
that level, dude.
registration exam.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sure, you worked
Yeah,
your ass off for that.
definitely a lot of late nights.
Good, man. Because
3 times in a row.
I mean, if it's easy, it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely feel like I've taken the path less traveled. I feel like there's so many different
Especially
things that I
with
could have
the
done.
generation in this town. Yes, you have. Absolutely, yes, you have.
Yeah, yeah, and
Compared to that,
it's crazy that I have a coworker that's 13 months younger than me, and we're like the only people out here,
Wow.
our age really. Well, I mean, sorry, Brent, and Erica and Christina. We're all around the same age, but like it's not something common. I have, I think, one other friend that I grew up with that is in architecture school out of all the people that I know.
you're my only friend that I know that's in architecture school.
Right. So I mean, like, exactly. It's definitely takes a certain type of ego, and not like a negative connotation, but like
Well-
yeah, you gotta have ego to want to express your artistic
Well, I'm sure a lot of
thoughts and
people are
stuff.
telling you, "Oh, no, why are you doing this? You need to be working in a restaurant. You need to make some." Boom, boom. They don't know why you're going to school.
Yeah.
Well, man, why are you staying up till 4 in the morning? You're crazy. That's for the birds.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It
You're
creates an
playing
ego.
with-
It creates a power.
You literally like my roommates would walk into my room at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they'd be like, "Yo, can you shut up?" And I'll have like a bag of concrete, and I'm like, "What's up?" Would you shut up? Like you're waking everyone up. I'm like, all right, yeah, I just gotta mix this concrete really quick. I made this form, and they're like, dude, get some sleep, bro.
Oh
What
my
the heck?"
God.
But yeah, so it definitely takes somebody with a certain drive and but a desire, not a drive, like
Desire,
a general
passion.
for architecture.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that I find design just as interesting as I find figuring how to build things, figuring out how to construct things, the best way to do those things, both of them. They're just both things that I find extremely interesting, and I just channel all this energy trying to figure it out, and
Is it passion? You
best.
channel this
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah.
Trying to put it on from here to here.
Yeah,
From
exactly.
here to up there.
yeah, from here to here or here to here or whatever. Yeah,
That's awesome,
But,
man. Growing every day with it.
exactly. and
Do you
it's-
think this is your calling? This is your Jesse Leone?
I mean, I've definitely made it my calling for sure.
Nice. Fuck yeah.
It feels like it at
Fuck
least.
yeah.
There's people out there that say
Well
we don't have
earned.
free will.
Well
so
earned, my friend.
I appreciate it, man.
Well
I really
earned.
do. I really do.
Man.
Yeah. And look at you, man. I mean, we're all out here figuring
Oh, yeah.
things out. coming up
That's
with
the one
ideas
thing.
and-
That's the one thing I really wanna, for people listening, I really wanna tell them about this show is I'm actually very grateful to have the guests that I'm going that I have in my mind and having just because it's allowing somebody like me who's just sitting down taking notes, who's just sitting down figuring it out. I work hard in life. I do my things, but the calling is there. Maybe maybe this isn't my calling, maybe that isn't your calling, but it's given you're opening your personal lifestyle and you're opening your personal a way of progress, and to me that's something that we should all be able to cherish out of this conversation, and that it's it's not you wake up, you go to school type thing, dude. There's a heartache to all this. There's a sweat. There's a
Yeah.
nights not slept.
There's more to everyone's day than the observer might.
And I
think.
feel like this right here is it's a great thing that I have the privilege to talk to you, because this right here, I'm sure with the message that I'm taking in, everybody else who's listening is definitely appreciating your 2 cents, Jesse.
I hope so. And
I know they are.
I mean, I think it's
I know they
amazing
are.
that you even reached out. Because I'm pretty hard on myself.
We all are. We all
Yeah,
are, right?
and-
Dude. If it wasn't for me just pulling trigger and saying, "Hey, let's do this, bro," I'd be right now. No, here, let me take more notes on this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I came in here and was like, yeah, let's talk to Christian about what the podcast might be like.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are doing it. you guys didn't skip a beat. You were like, yeah, just put the headphones on. Test it out. And I'm like, all right. And we're live.
What do you think, though, man? What do you think? This is the
is-
studio.
Dude, I love the studio. Love it. It's got some character to it.
Uh-huh.
It's homey. It's just a nice little spot you got, dude.
No, man.
All these musical instruments.
You play any music?
Do you play the cello?
Well, that's upright bass. That's
Oh, word.
pretty much.
My
You,
bad.
you
I'm
play
an
anything?
You can play with a bow.
No, I can play 1,000 miles on the piano. That's about it.
Oh, you got
Piano right there.
you got two of them. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Which one is
Here,
on?
go the other one, the acoustic one. Behind you. That one.
Yep. There's quite options
Yeah,
here.
there's almost gotta be plugged in. Yeah!
Come on. Oh man, I was about to start.
Oh, there we go. That's not an easy line, man. Oh. Hell yeah, you just blessed it.
yeah.
Huh?
I've done that for a while.
Dude,
as
how-
you can tell.
Blessed it, man.
Hey, how hard are those first?
No, that ain't an easy. That's
Yeah,
an easy line.
Holy.
yeah.
And you see, that's the stuff you don't think about. I was just talking about that with his piano guy Adam. The process that it goes to making what people consider as pop music,
Dude,
like pop music. Oh, you made it to right now.
talk about layers. Yeah, there's so much that goes into music.
Yeah, architecture and how you've been explaining it has been like giving me that same like about music. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much to making a song work.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
amazing.
I mean, and there's, these magical parameters within music that you're just like, yeah, there's definitely some layers to music.
and I feel like a lot. There's a lot of. I love acoustic music. I love just the raw sounding, but at the same time, I cannot allow that to stop me from
Appreciating other
appreciating
types of music.
the new the techno. No, not techno, but that new music that's very electronic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the new music that's very electronically just designed.
Yeah, there's people that are doing electronic music that's very musical, and then there's people that are just doing electronic music just by,
I mean,
Right.
there's your there's that balance of
Yeah,
both things happening at the same time.
I love it all. I love it all.
there's your local DJ who like heard some songs and kind of made some connections, and then there's these producers out here, or these engineers that are like, they have.
We're gonna
the-
have a
the
music
theory
engineer
under
here soon.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be listening to
Sinister.
that podcast for sure.
Yeah, I
Sinister.
believe, if all, and appreciate you being prompt on your time, because I made a schedule and I made a full calendar from July.
Word.
and,
And, you
uh,
just started writing people in. You're
Well,
like, "All right."
yeah, and I learned
better
that's
show
not how
up.
you do it. That's not how you do it. You got to contact the people and ask them, hey, when can you? Yeah, because I made the calendar. I'm like, all right, this
Well,
guy's coming.
You made goals. That's what you made.
Oh,
You
man.
made goals.
Oh, dude,
So,
and then shooting and hitting them out of the field, or just like, okay, come on. So I appreciate you, saying
dude,
yes.
my
and,
pleasure. My pleasure
'cause
for sure.
this right here, this is other than my mom, allowing us, and there's a lot on that podcast that it was my first one ever. That was the first launch. That was the first launch.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that I could see, tweaking out, but just the fact that I just said fuck it, just go for it.
It was raw. It was genuine.
Yes.
And especially mixed with the conversation that was being had.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh, dude, it was
Yeah,
funny, man.
yeah.
I love mom.
Yeah.
Mom, she kicks
She's
ass.
awesome.
Yeah, she's been working at Boston Whaler for 15 years.
That's dedication, dude.
Yeah, dedication indeed, because it's a hard job, but she loves it. She said that she actually, the way she explained it, said she could teach a blind man how to do finishing, because she says it's all in your fingers. So literally, once you learn how to flex this type of your finger, it makes to where you can work on that curve without flattening a millimeter curve. Because on a boat, you have all these little lines, and just that if you use the pressure from your thumb, you're gonna flatten that bevel. But if you use the pressure from your pinky, you're gonna have enough to make it a bevel.
There you go. All right. I could use that information.
Oh man, just like I said, I don't want to hold you up too long, but dude,
All
this
good,
is-
brother.
This is good,
I appreciate it.
and
Really, thanks for giving me the opportunity
man,
to
thank
come
you,
out here.
Jesse.
I want to let everyone know that my book's coming out next month. It's $300 pre-order. It's called I'm just playing around.
Oh my God, you mother, brother! I'm ready. I was
like,
ready
"Oh,
for the
shit, he's got a
material. That's the one thing that him and I talk about the most. Like, dude, that's
Writing a book.
no, writing a book. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to do
What
it.
are your takes on that?
I definitely want to be the person that writes it.
Yeah.
Like people who listen to audiobooks and say they read a book.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. Like, I don't care, but you didn't read it. Yeah.
You're a reader.
You're an author. Yeah.
He's a reader.
You
He's,
wrote, you wrote your book, but you didn't actually write it. You
Yeah.
know? You had a ghostwriter write it. So
Yeah, no, man. I'm actually using reading right now as a sleeping tool, and it's actually I haven't read in a long time, and I think I'm just getting back into my reading. So these muscles are very weak, my reading muscles, because I read and I'll get tired.
yeah,
I'll get like a little pressure.
yeah,
A little water makes me fall asleep, dude.
dude.
Pass out.
Don't take this the wrong way, but if you ever can't sleep, read the Bible.
Okay, yeah.
It'll put your ass
God,
to
I
sleep.
can definitely do that, because so many words, I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like
I'll be going cross-eyed.
the complexity.
Is it the complexity that just kind of just like?
It's just like the wording and stuff. For me, at least,
I think because it starts to hurt right here.
Yeah, yeah. Your eyes close and you're like, all right.
My man.
I
Appreciate it, dude.
I appreciate it, and I love the podcast.
Man, thank you.
I hope that people can enjoy it, laugh, and be motivated by it, because I think it definitely has
I know they will.
a spirit to it that can
It does, man. It does. It has a soul.
proliferate the greatness. Definitely.
For sure.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Oh, man.